Alright, so we are about to jump in here. Actually, we are jumping in with this game. So we're going to see Gronk versus Dystopia, winners bracket round 3 of the Playdate Dota, our Playdate Dota 2 Open Tournament. I'm a little asleep still, but it's okay. We'll get in here. We'll get hype. So we'll sort of see what strategies these two teams bring to the table, what they actually do, how they're working through the current metagame. In this tournament so far, I've seen the teams that really have a coordinated plan to protect one strong late game carry have succeeded, which is sort of a few iterations of the metagame ago. It's less focusing around just having a carry that's very, very strong in the early to mid game, because it's sometimes difficult to coordinate those early pushes, and more around having one carry that can get very, very big and sort of dominate the game. So we'll see if the teams actually go for that, or if they go for something a little bit of a different approach. But at any rate, we're getting right in there. We're already getting some bans, and very typical bans to start out with. We've got this Bat Rider, so this is one of the strongest heroes in the game right now, definitely. He's able to crowd control, he's able to win middle. He's actually pretty good in various lane configurations as well. He can jungle, but mainly he's run as a mid, and he's just extremely dominant in that role. And then again, Gronk taking out Nyx Assassin, another absolutely top-tier hero. Very typical ban so far. The only one that's sort of, at some professional levels, teams aren't banning Magnus quite as early. But again, this is a hero who, without too much execution, can do extremely well in the middle, can dominate team fights, and can really just completely take over a game. And I think the first game we watched today, we actually had a 21-1 Magnus, which is, I mean, it's just a hilarious level of dominance. And so 4 bans go out, both teams sort of taking on some of the top heroes in the game, and then Gronk actually secures Keeper of the Light for their first pick. So pretty smart choice. He's considered one of the strongest supports available. Not quite as strong as Nyx Assassin, perhaps, but definitely a very good hero. And Dystopia counters by picking up Rubik and Bounty Hunter. Now, this Rubik pick is interesting. Rubik is a strong support. Picking him this early does mean that the other team can sort of try to work around him. So what's the danger of a Rubik? The danger of a Rubik is most keen when you have heroes that have huge teamfight ultimates that you're scared of them stealing. Because if I pick up, say, a Tidehunter, or I pick up an Enigma, I'm really relying on that Tidehunter or that Enigma to give me the dominance in those teamfight situations. And if the other team has a Rubik that can steal that Ravage from the Tidehunter, that can steal the Black Hole from the Enigma, that can turn it right around on me and lead to me losing by, an incredibly dramatic margin if my team was relying on that teamfight domination. So what they can do now is maybe not pick up heroes that they'd be really scared of Rubik stealing the spells of, and sort of work around it, limit him to just a strong support, which he is, even if he doesn't steal that many spells. Then Dystopia's other choice is this Bounty Hunter, so they're going to really rely on that mid-game track gold, probably run Bounty Hunter in the solo side lane, and just pick up experience, really get him leveled up to 6, and then try to get kills. And we'll see just how aggressive they go in concert with that Rubik, and how much they actually end up pushing out and trying to get kills with that. And they pick up another support in the form of the Shadow Demon. So they already have their 2 supports filled out, and probably their side lane solo. Meanwhile, for Gronk, they decided to pick up this early Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain definitely becoming one of the favored mid heroes in the current metagame. Essentially, if you ban out Bat Rider and you ban out Magnus, and 3 mid options are already taken out, because people will run Darkseer mid occasionally, especially against something like a Templar Assassin. And then you have the Bat Rider, you have the Magnus. Queen of Pain is really one of the best mid heroes remaining, along with Templar Assassin, and her extreme mobility and ability to generate ganks with high damage is very, very favored. Gronk also picks up Lifestealer. So Gronk, in contrast to Dystopia, aren't filling out their support roster quite yet. They have 1 support, they have their mid, and now they have a carry player. Most likely they will be running Lifestealer in one of the lanes. We've actually seen Lifestealer be pretty versatile. We've seen teams run him as a side lane solo, which is very unusual. We've even seen a couple run him jungle, which is how he's popular in public games, but not so popular in the outside world. And we frequently see him either safe lane solo or in a tri lane on the safe lane. We've actually seen a mid as well, in dual mid lanes, depending on who his support is. So basically, Lifestealer, highly versatile hero, good carry option for Gronk. And then Dystopia is going to have to... They already have supports that can deal with that somewhat. This Demonic Purge is very good against Lifestealer. It will slow him down and slow his attack speed down, even through his passive Rage. We'll see if they pick up more things that deal with heroes that can have magic immunity. Because the difficulty with Lifestealer is he goes magic immune and tears up your team, right? So Dystopia could go with something like an Enigma to put up in the jungle to... well, actually, they need a mid hero too, but something that could go through BKB would be strong against this Lifestealer option. Something like a Beastmaster, maybe, although Bounty Hunter and Beastmaster sort of share a role. Think of a Beastmaster in the middle. At any rate, Gronk basically focusing carries on Dystopia. So Dystopia, you see that they have both supports and they have their sideline solo. So basically what they're missing is a carry and a mid, and that's the sort of thing you can ban. So taking out Lone Druid definitely a strong mid-game carry option. You can do something like run him in a solo safe, and then they most likely wouldn't do that, but they could do something like Rubik roaming Shadow Demon with a sideless, mostly solo safe lane Lone Druid. And take out the Faceless Void. This is what we were sort of talking about. Faceless Void has done quite a bit of work in this tournament, just in general recently, as sort of one of the strongest hard carry options that you have. Gets really, really big late if you develop him early. If you sort of keep the other team from sort of dominating you, you can really, really do extremely well with him. And Shadow Demon is a good support to sort of defend your carry with. If he starts getting targeted, you can always hide him in this disruption while maybe his blink cooldown comes up or what have you. Dystopia, meanwhile, taking out some support options. They also take out the sideline solo in the form of Windrunner. They don't want Gronk essentially to have a strong solo option because they don't actually currently have one. So they take out the Windrunner. They've already taken out Darkseer, and Magnus has been taken out by the other team. 3 strong sideline solo options. You can see that, I won't say that Gronk shot themselves in the foot, really, but it is difficult when you have taken out some of the options for your remaining lanes before the second ban phase ends. So you can see they took out the Lone Druid as a strong sideline solo option, and they took out the Magnus, probably because they didn't want to be taking either of these. But the flip side of this is now, Gronk has to sort of think about at this stage, who do we ban that we have enough room left that we'll still have time to take another strong support, and we'll still have time to pick ourselves up a sideline solo? Or do we go for a more non-traditional lane composition, or we're actually just going to seed the safe lane, which is going to be very, very, the opposing safe lane, which is tough when they could pick up something like a hard carry, like an anti-mage. And they decided to take out the Undying, so strong teamfight option, ability to really clog up the board. Now, Undying isn't... I'm not sure that Undying is tremendously strong against Gronk's lineup up to where they are. And it would be necessary for Dystopia to run the Undying as a primary farmer, which is a non-traditional approach to him. Usually he's run as a support in a tri-lane or in a dual lane with heroes like Keeper of the Light. It's only a few teams in the world that actually run Undying as a primary farmer. Empire sometimes does it. They'll put Blow Your Brain on the Undying and he'll get quite a bit of farm. But many teams, usually he's run more of in a support role, which Dystopia really doesn't have any more room to pick up. They really need something like a strong mid-hero, which Undying is not, and a strong carry, which it's arguable. Meanwhile, Dystopia continues to take out supports. You see they took out the Wisp. This Wisp Lifestealer could be a pretty strong combo. They also could have gone with something like Wisp Chaos Knight. Well, actually, less likely that they would have gone with Wisp Chaos Knight. But definitely Wisp, strong support, and something that can pair up with a big strength carry to deal a lot of damage. Wisp Lifestealer is also an interesting combination because Wisp's ultimate relocates her and the hero that she's tethered with to any place on the map. And what Lifestealer can do is hitch a ride inside either Wisp or the hero that's being teleported for even more damage, essentially. Instead of teleporting 2 people around, you're teleporting 3 people around. And then that's, you know, that can really lead to a lot of kills all over the map if you want. So Gronk picks up Sand King, and so this will fill out their support roster. They also, Sand King is sometimes run as a sideline solo option. It's quite dangerous because at low levels, he has a lot of difficulty getting away from fights with his Burrow Strike, because you can see that its range is extremely low at low levels. But he's got a little bit of survivability. He can sit there in Sandstorm if the lane is more or less static and pick up some experience there. It's tough. More likely, I think they would be running him as a support. Or even, I don't know if they're going to try to run a Sand King mid. It really depends on what... Well, no, obviously they're not because they have the Queen of Pain, sorry. But they could run him as a safe lane support. That's sort of more commonly where we find him. Or they could try to run him as something like a side lane. But we'll sort of see how their lanes shake out once we see what their 5th pick is. Meanwhile, picks go back to Dystopia. They really are looking for probably... They can run Rubik as a mid, so they could actually pick up another support, run Rubik mid, and then have the support Shadow Demon Bounty Hunter. Possibly this is what Gronk was thinking about when they actually drafted this banned this Undying, is that they might go with that. And they pick up Leshrac. Leshrac is another hero that's very common in tri-lanes. He does actually have a little bit of mid potential. Like Rubik, you can run Leshrac mid, you can run Rubik mid. Rubik is generally those of as slightly better just because hitting that early level 6 is very strong for Rubik. I do want to note, Gronk at this point have drafted a few heroes for whom Rubik is a very, very effective, not counter to, but very effective against. So there are a number of spells that are very attractive for Rubik to steal. The Rage from the Lifestealer gives Rubik a lot more survivability because if he's magic immune, he can get in there, he can steal other spells, he can sort of make sure that he gets his telekinesis off. So Rage is quite strong. Sand King's abilities are extremely good for Rubik. Both the stun on his Q, hit the Burrow Strike, can stun a number of targets with Sand King, and the Epicenter that he can steal to just deal massive AoE damage. So those are definitely the Sand King is a move that Dystopia could try to capitalize on. And they fill out with Shadow Shaman. So I think most likely what we're going to see is they'll actually run the Keeper of the Light as a solo lane. So this is interesting. We don't usually see this. He is a very, very good anti-pusher. So with Keeper of the Light in your solo lane, you are not likely to actually lose that tier 1 tower very quickly. It's because he's squishy, it's difficult for him to stay near the lane, but he can farm from afar by using this Illuminate. So it'll be interesting to see how Gronk actually decides to lane it. They don't have a lot of options for their off lane. Essentially, what they want to do is put the Queen of Pain middle, put the Lifestealer safe lane with 1 or 2 supports, and maybe they could even go something like a dual off lane to try to stay up against the very strong tri-lane option that Dystopia has. As soon as Dystopia sort of fills out with their carry, their tri-lane options are extremely powerful. Whether they end up going with Rubik Shadow Demon and carry, or Leshrac Shadow Demon and carry, I doubt they would go with Rubik, Leshrac carry. They'll probably go with Leshrac or Rubik in the middle. Shadow Demon used to be a common mid hero. We really haven't seen it very often. I really wouldn't expect to see it in this game either, but basically they're going to run one of those heroes in the middle, and they're going to run the other 2 in a tri-lane in concert with the carry. And whoever they end up choosing, they've got about 20 seconds to figure it out. There's definitely still a ton of carries in the pool, especially because they banned up this Undying. They have the option of Luna, they have the option of Anti-Mage, or they could go with something more exotic, but certainly Dystopia is well configured to go. They do end up going with the Luna. So a very strong carry, has some early kill potential, especially since they have a tri-lane that can very easily generate kills on the opposing sideline solo of Gronk, whoever Gronk ends up putting there. Dystopia wants a carry who sort of has that damage early. And Luna really does bring it. She's got, as soon as she picks up some ranks of Lucent Beam, that's quite a bit of damage there. And she definitely she's able to give the entire team quite a bit of boost at level 1 just by picking up this Lunar Blessing first. So very, very dangerous trial. I think what you have to keep a look at in this game is whoever ends up going in the mid is probably slightly disfavored against Queen of Pain. So Gronk is probably not going to have tons of issues in the middle. And their safe lane's going to be pretty good. They got this Lifestealer who, Lifestealer can even run solo safe against certain compositions. Actually, against Bounty Hunter, Lifestealer is actually probably fine solo safe. So they could run even solo safe for the Lifestealer. That'll be fine. The tough thing is going to be what happens in the bottom lane. So Dystopia are going to run their heroes in the bottom, and what is Gronk actually going to do to respond to that? It looks like Gronk might actually start by hunting for a first blood. So they've got their heroes grouped up over by the tier 2 bottom tower. They're smoked up, and they're going to head into Dystopia's jungle. So, essentially, and Dystopia playing pretty safely, too. So, it'll be interesting to see if they actually end up getting a kill from this. But basically, the issue is going to be the bottom lane. Because whoever Gronk puts up here, they're going to be in quite a bit of danger from the single target prowess, the ability to kill a single target that Dystopia brings to the table. So, if they have, say, Leshrac, Shadow Demon, Luna, they can set up with Shadow Demon Disruption, then pop the Leshrac stun, and then Luna's hitting you throughout the Leshrac stun, and then Leshrac and Shadow Demon are hitting you as well. So right from level 1, that's a lot of danger that Gronk's heroes will be in. I think Dystopia realizes that at level 1, Gronk's kill potential is much higher than theirs, so they played very, very safe there. And that was smart. They played safe, they sort of avoided getting first blooded, playing quite defensive positions for almost all of their heroes. And as a result, they sort of avoid the first blood attempt, so wasted smoke for Gronk. Not too bad. The interesting, have they actually pooled? It looks like they may have pooled gold. Well, Lifestealer's got about 600 worth. Shadow Shaman has a little less. Keeper of the Light, how much did he buy for his team? Not entirely clear, but I don't think they pooled gold. I think they mostly are just setting up for the beginning of the game. All right, so we have a pause actually, and you can see that actually Gronk has started by putting down these very aggressive wards. So they want full vision of what's going on in Dystopia's jungle. They want to block these creep camps. This ward will block this creep camp and this creep camp. So that'll be ideal for them as long as it doesn't get dewarded. Whoever ends up in this bottom lane, they're actually going to run an aggressive tri-lane. So this is very, very interesting. So basically, what Gronk's going to do is they're going to run Sand King in the solo safe going up against the Bounty Hunter. They're going to run an aggressive tri-lane with the Lifestealer, Shadow Shaman, Keeper of the Light. And they're going to run the Queen of Pain mid, obviously. So it's Queen of Pain against Rubik ends up being Dystopia's choice. And they're actually going to go for a first blood. We've got Shadow Demon with the double damage rune and Leshrac smoked behind it. They're going to try to gain an advantage in the middle lane right from the beginning of the game. Most likely after that, these two heroes will go to help Luna in the bottom lane. So there'll be Luna, Shadow Demon, Leshrac against the tri-lane of Gronk. And this is beginning. So Leshrac's stun going out. It actually misses the Queen of Pain. But does she have Blink? She took Shadow Strike first. So unfortunately, she gets picked up for the first blood by the Shadow Demon Mothballs. I think if she had had Blink, the fact that the Leshrac stun missed as a follow-up to the Shadow Demon would have actually made it so that they missed the first blood. But they do pick it up. There's a shout out going out to Dystopia as well in the stream chat. Alright, so what we're most likely going to see after picking up that successful first blood is Queen of Pain is now less favored against Rubik now that she sort of gave up the first blood. And so we're going to see this Leshrac and the Shadow Demon heading down to the bottom lane to help out Luna. So this is an interesting matchup, essentially. The Shadow Shaman, Keeper of the Light, Lifestealer against Luna, Leshrac, Shadow Demon. So basically what we have is a lot of danger on a single target from the Leshrac and the Shadow Demon, because they can do that exact combo that we just saw, hopefully with a little better timing on the follow-up stun from the Leshrac. But nonetheless, this can kill any target with concert with the Luna. But Keeper of the Light is able to play Keep Away, especially since they have almost perfect vision of what's actually going on. Now we have a Radiant Ward here, but Leshrac and Shadow Demon are going to have a tough time stacking this camp unless they start getting some counter wards. And Keeper of the Light has perfect vision of them, so he can always just shoot Illuminates off into the trees if Leshrac and Shadow Demon are hiding out here to deal damage to them. So definitely this is going to be the lane to watch. We're going to spend most of our time here. And the fact that they actually chose to run the aggressive tri-lane is possibly their best shot at living up against how strong of a tri-lane the Luna Shadow Demon Leshrac approach intrinsically is. And Keeper of the Light is extremely strong up against like a couple heroes or 3 heroes. The more heroes are in the lane against you, the better Keeper of the Light becomes, because he's got this Illuminate that if it's just hitting creeps, that's actually very bad for you because it'll push out the lane. But if it's hitting heroes, then you're in good shape. The more heroes you're hitting with every single one of those creeps, with every single one of those Illuminates, the better off you are. The problem for them now is their hero, so their chosen carry, is Lifestealer. He's a little bit, he's melee. He does have this rage, but he really has to save the rage for when they try to combo on him. So for when the Shadow Demon is in range, that's when the Lifestealer needs his rage. When they're not in range, he's going to pick up a lot of harassment damage, both from this Luna and from this Leshrac. So basically, every time Lifestealer comes up to the lane, it's going to be difficult for him. What they have to do is make sure that with this Keeper of the Lane, with the Shadow Shaman, they're able to do enough counter harass against this Leshrac-Luna combination to actually be able to get the last hits on that Lifestealer. He had great development when it was just a solo Luna, but now he has had much more trouble. The nice thing for him is this lane is pushed up. The other nice thing for Gronk right now is that these 2 counter wards both missed the Observer ward from Gronk. Sorry. So Dystopia was not actually able to clear this creep camp out, which means that no jungle creeps will actually spawn in this spot, and they won't be able to continually stack this. We have a kill going out, so Leshrac actually misses the stun again, and now unfortunately they get counteracted by the Lifestealer and the Shadow Shaman. Shackle goes out, they can't actually take advantage of it. These heroes are just a little bit too beefy for them to actually get the kill. But another missed opportunity for Dystopia. They really have to make sure that they chain up this Shadow Demon and Leshrac a little better than they're currently doing. And the other thing that the other lane that we want to look at is this solo lane. So basically, the problem with Sand King as a support, and the reason people don't really run him that much as a support option, is that he needs levels. At level 1, Sand King's stun is really, really not great. So you've got this 350 range, about 100 damage. It travels about, if I highlight it, you'll see how far it travels. So that's not a long distance to actually get a stun. You really have to be basically right up in the grill of the people that you're trying to stun to do it. So, if you can run your Sand King as, for instance, a solo safe against a Bounty Hunter, a lane that is not that much in danger in, you can make sure that it gets those levels, make sure that it gets that timely Epicenter and gets those levels in Burrow Strike. It's not actually tremendously important for him to even farm, and he is going to have much worse farm than this Bounty Hunter is, just because Bounty Hunter is able to play keep off with the lane. You can see a Bounty Hunter actually counteracting the presence of the Sand King. He's actually going to go in for a kill. So Sand King stuns him right up under the tower, but he's going to have a lot of damage coming out of him. He's got level 3 Shuriken, and actually Casper is forced to retreat. He's taking too much damage from the tower. So not a successful kill attempt there, but this is definitely an interesting battle of wills here. The Sand King and Bounty Hunter are basically at the same amount of levels, and they're going to keep trying to sort of poke at each other, I think. You can see that the Sand King has taken an anti-Bounty Hunter lane configuration with these 2 ranks of Caustic, so that when Bounty Hunter is trying to get last hits, if Sand King can blow up a creep right on top of him, it'll do a lot of damage. The problem is, you can see Sand King has not that much HP, and definitely nothing in the way of magic resistance, so Bounty Hunter has gone a fairly non-traditional 3 ranks in Shuriken Toss, so that he can keep Sand King off the lane. He can continually threaten that Sand King and make sure that he's taking more damage than the Bounty Hunter actually takes. Less of a kill configuration. Actually, Shadow Shaman in a lot of trouble here. I think this Leshrac stun lands. This probably will be a kill. Oh, huge Lucent P from Luna and the final hit from the Shadow Demon, enough to pick him off. I actually missed a kill too, I think. Yeah, actually missed a kill on the Lifestealer. So this tri-lane from Gronk not working out that fantastically yet. They haven't been able to keep Dystopia's supports from basically coming up. When the 2 supports are in your face, you're in a ton of trouble, because if the Shadow Demon Disruption actually goes off on the Lifestealer, it's very, very difficult to pop Rage in such a way that the Leshrac stun won't hit you. Your timing basically has to be immaculate. And if that Leshrac stun hits you, it doesn't matter if you Rage at that point. You've already taken all the damage you're going to take, and you're going to go down as that lifestealer. So actually, is he transitioning to a jungle role? I wonder if they're going to abandon trying to farm up the lifestealer in this lane. Although, honestly, his farm hasn't been that bad. Even though he picked up a death, he's almost up to where the Luna is, essentially. The interesting thing to note is, partially as a result of this first blood, Rubik has actually gained quite a bit of an advantage in the middle lane. So, Queen of Pain, only about 17 last hits, Rubik about 24, and I think he has more or less the run of the runes. They actually have more wards at this point because the supports are tied up in defending lifestealer and defending this lane. You can see that Dystopia actually has far stronger vision on the map. So they've got both rune spots fully warded. And Gronk has no vision of the ward spots. This means that this Rubik can be a little more intelligent about where he goes. Usually you would expect a Queen of Pain to dominate the runes up against a Rubik, but she's going to have a lot more trouble when Rubik understands, where the rune is and she doesn't. Another kill attempt going out, they actually put up the Shadow Poison on, not the Shadow Poison, the Soul Catcher up on the Keeper of the Light. Shadow Shaman counteracts with a Shackle, but again, if you have nothing to follow up that Shackle, you really won't be able to get that kill. You can see that Gronk has transitioned. I mean, the tri-lane wasn't working out. They gave up 3 kills in it. And so as a consequence, they're going to just do a dual lane, try to get levels on this Keeper of the Light, try to get some levels on this Shadow Shaman, and just avoid dying to this Shadow Demon Leshrac combination, and get farm for the Lifestealer wherever they can. And currently that's going to be in the jungle. They got him that little bit of farm early, and he's going to transition to a jungle role. The problem is he now starts at a little bit behind in levels. The nice thing about jungling is that, you can build up a little more levels than maybe you would as part of a tri-lane. And because they're aggressive tri-lane, if you run an aggressive tri-lane, your supports are always there. This is the difference between running a tri-lane in your safe lane and a tri-lane in your hard lane. Right now, Gronk, at the beginning of the game, Gronk were running a tri-lane in their hard lane. And what that means is, there's nowhere for this Keeper of the Light or the Shadow Shaman to go except the lane. They're not going to go into the opposing jungle because that's very, very, very dangerous. There's nowhere for them to farm up here unless they just go to stack the Ancients. So it's either stay here, try to help out the Lifestealer, or do absolutely nothing. The difference for Shadow Demon and Leshrac is that they can let the Luna sit there and get farm. They don't even have to be there unless they're going for a kill attempt. And so she gets more XP, she becomes higher level. You can see if we look at the level graph, Luna's actually up to level 6, the Lifestealer is only at level 4. And that's a pretty substantial differential between your carries for only 8 minutes in the game. And that's really the thing. If to justify an aggressive tri-lane the way that Gronk ran it, you have to ensure that you're actually going to get kills or keep down the farm of the opposing carry. If you can't actually do that, then the aggressive tri-lane becomes difficult for your carry to actually get the farm that he needs in. So you can see Gronk continuing to sort of transition. This Lifestealer is sort of doing a little bit of lane switching. He's been up to the top, he's been in the jungle. But you can see Dystopia in response, they rotate as well. The stun does not go out, the Sand King manages to stun out of it. Uses stun to get out of it, but unfortunately he's going to take damage. He actually pops his Epicenter. The channel does not finish. If he had actually finished the channel, Epicenter will continue channeling after you die. So that would have caused him to deal quite a bit of damage even after death. But he's not able to get it off. That puts it up on a 130-second cooldown. This was very bold of the Lifestealer to remain farming here when he knew there were 3 heroes. This could be the end of the Lifestealer here if this stun lands, and it does. And that's going to be a lot of damage going on him. The Bounty Hunter track is up. This will be the 2nd track kill for Bounty Hunter. Shadow Demon picks up yet another kill. He's up to 301. And at this point, Dystopia is sort of just roaming with the Shadow Demon Leshrac. Again, they don't need to help the Luna anymore. She has a very safe lane now that they got that early dominance. And as a consequence, they roam with the Shadow Demon Leshrac. They can get kills wherever they want them. And the Bounty Hunter will get development. He'll get track kills when they come over. The Rubik will continue winning mid because they secured the first blood here. Queen of Pain, you can see, sort of forced to bottle crow, actually. Usually a Queen of Pain, it's rare that Queen of Pain actually needs to bottle crow because she can go pick up the runes at her will. But because Dystopia's map control and their vision is so much better, they can sort of do better at that. And actually, also Rubik stole Queen of Pain's Blink, which is also quite strong. I failed to mention, but actually Luna manages to pick up the kill. And this is sort of the situation that Gronk find themselves in. Even with this dual lane against 1, because Luna had such a good start, because they had such a good start in this lane, it's difficult for the Shadow Shaman and Keeper of the Light to generate kills on her. And it's actually more likely that with the timely usage of an Eclipse, Luna can turn it around on them and just kill one or even both of them. So as far as his build, we're actually seeing the little bit more early game aggression build for this Luna. So he has his Morbid Mask for lifesteal, and he has Power Treads. He's actually going to, if he gets the mana for another 2 more attacks, now can get this Keeper of the Light. So you can see it's just extremely dangerous to go up against this Luna. His damage is already very good. He's level 8. He's got this Power Treads for additional attack speed, and it gives him a bit of damage as well just on stats. actually getting a kill up here. So they do manage to pick off both Shadow Demon and Leshrac, and they're going to pick up a kill, most likely on this Rubik. Well, he doesn't have the mana to spell Steal again. He is tracked? How was he tracked? That can't be right. He was not tracked. So, Gronk actually gets up on the board. They managed to get 3 kills there. All 3, the mid and both supports were picked up there. Couple kills for the Lifestealer. Got to get him on the board. You really have to try to catch up this Lifestealer to where this Luna is at. I wonder, so he's built out his Gloves of Haste. I wonder if he'll go straight Armlet or if he'll try to pick up a Midas. The Lifestealer is substantially behind on both levels and gold farm now, so it may be smart for him to actually pick up a Midas to try to catch up. It's going to be late, so you generally want your Midas substantially earlier than 12 minutes. And he's probably, I mean, he's not going to get it for another 3 minutes. So you want it earlier than 14 minutes usually. But Midas gives you XP. That's not a commonly thought about thing, but when you pop a creep with Midas, it gives you 2.5 times the XP you would normally receive from it. Additionally, if you're jungling, Midas clears out a jungle camp faster because, you know, you have to hit this creep, say, 10 times to kill it with Lifestealer. If you use Midas on it, you kill it immediately. Plus, again, you get 2.5 times the XP. So if they want to catch up to this Luna, it may be smart for them to actually not go for the Armlet for Lifestealer. They go for the Midas, try to catch up, and then try to sort of overwhelm a little bit later than they normally would. Because right now, the Queen of Pain is getting great levels. She's actually the highest level person on the map. So this Queen of Pain might start causing trouble. You definitely saw already those 3 kills that they generated were basically off the back of the Queen of Pain, the Sand King joining up. But we have a big gank coming out on this Keeper of the Light. I'm not sure the Keeper of the Light really has any sort of chance. Actually, he manages to get back. So smart defensive play. They did actually, I wonder if they saw them with this ward. It might have been difficult, but whatever. Even if it's good spider sense, the fact that Keeper of the Light managed to not get ganked there is pretty substantial. But Dystopia are willing to wait. They're being very patient. The Bounty Hunter is just outside of sight range of this tower, and so they've got 4 players here. Keeper of the Light actually throwing out his, oh, unfortunately Shadow Demon is, the disruption is up, the stun is up, and they're going to kill him right under that tower. Smart play, again, from Dystopia there, managing to actually get that kill. They had to wait a long time for it, but nonetheless, they get it. They get a tower off the back of it, and that's a substantial advantage for them. Sand King, he actually has his ultimate, so he's sort of setting up on the exit path if he can. And Queen of Pain picks up another kill on the Keeper of the Light as well. Stun going out on Leshrac. Queen of Pain throwing out the Shadow Strike, but unfortunately she's at quite low HP. Will the Bounty Hunter pick up another kill? With the combination of the Rubik, they do. And now the Sand King is in quite a bit of trouble as well. Rubik actually getting the Sand King stun. Sand King using his stun to continue escaping. Bounty Hunter is going to throw out a track, but I don't think it's quite enough. Yeah, he won't actually keep going. Gronk do pick up a trade for that. What they do is they pick up the tier 1 top tower. So basically both teams getting 1 tower down. The Lifestealer continuing to develop. It looks like he's actually is going to go Armlet rather than Midas, which is also a fine choice. Armlet is a strong teamfight option for Lifestealer. If you think that you're going to have to start fighting soon, you really want that Armlet to build up the capability of that Lifestealer to actually stand up to fights. If you pop your Rage and your Armlet, you're doing a lot of damage. There's nothing really that Dystopia are going to be able to do to you during the period of time of that Rage. I think he really wants to max out that Rage as soon as possible, that full 6 seconds of magic immunity, just because the danger from Dystopia is mostly magic focused at this point. Until the Bounty Hunter really gets a little more than he currently has, and he's actually going BKB, it looks like, so he's going to be pretty defensive for most of the time. He's not going to be doing that much damage. And the Luna really needs more items after this Helm of the Dominator. She's going to build BKB as well. So actually lots of BKBs coming out. I think Dystopia identified the primary threat to them as the Queen of Pain currently. She is the highest level person on Gronk. She is the most developed person in some respects. How much gold-wise? A little less than Lifestealer, but still. The proximate issue for them is this Queen of Pain. And so they're sort of already configuring themselves so that they can beat that Queen of Pain. And what they're doing is they're stacking those BKBs. So they're building a BKB on the Bounty Hunter, more than halfway to it, building a BKB on the Luna about halfway to it, and once they have that, those heroes will no longer fear the magic damage. But in terms of what Dystopia's threats are, because they have BKB on Lifestealer, on Bounty Hunter, because they have BKB on Luna, neither of those heroes are really doing that much physical damage. Luna is doing a lot of magical damage in the form of these constant lucent beams, and especially in the form especially of the Eclipse. And the Shadow Demon does quite a bit of magic damage, especially with that Soul Catcher. The Leshrac is going to do a lot of magic damage, and Gronk walks into a trap here with 3 Dystopia heroes, smashing them right off the bat. But Gronk's heroes are here as well, so Keeper of the Light, Big Illuminate goes out, Shadow Shaman here to support as well, and Lifestealer comes up to try to pick up the pieces. Unfortunately, it's a good tactical retreat by Dystopia here. The Shadow Demon is quite low, but it looks like they're going to try to turn this around. They do have the Eclipse available from Luna, and they're going out on the Sand King already. Will he actually be able to land his he doesn't actually land his ultimate, and Eclipse goes out, it's doing a lot of damage. Lifestealer immune to it. Luna taking a lot of damage there as well, just enough with the Queen of Pain to actually pick her off. But Rubik turns it around by shooting out the Queen of Pain ultimate right back on Gronk. He picks off 2 heroes. Queen of Pain meets her doom. Lifestealer trying to get out the best he can now. And they pick up only 1 hero in exchange for 4. Not the ideal trade. I think that Rubik's steal was excellent there. He managed to get the Sonic Wave off, dealing just a ton of damage back to those very, very squishy supports. You can see there's a Shadow Shaman right now. Only 644 HP. All he has is boots and a magic stick and a branch. If you're Rubik, you know, you steal that Sonic Wave, you deal 475 damage. That's more than half of Shadow Shaman's HP, even accounting for the passive 25% magic resist. So, great fight for Dystopia there. They do lose their carry. That sets her back a little bit from her BKB, but you're fine losing your carry if it means you trade for 4 heroes on the opposing team. I really think this Epicenter there just didn't get quite the effect they wanted. I think Sand King may have gotten stunned or something during it. Lifestealer has picked up his 4th rank of Rage. This is absolutely critical for him. 6 seconds of magic immunity to the Shrek stun, to the Rubik stun, to the Shadow Demon disable is really what you need on your hero that's going to be providing most of your physical damage. Once these BKBs come up, the other issue I should have mentioned, it's not just the Queen of Pain. It's also the Sand King Epicenter. So we haven't really seen a big Epicenter yet in this game, but if a big one came out, if Sand King especially gets that level 11 and he lands it on a lot of Dystopia's heroes, that's going to be a huge teamfight advantage for them right there. If they land something like an Epicenter and a Sonic Wave on top of a stack of Dystopia players, that's a fight that they'll win by an incredibly dramatic margin. However, Dystopia are sort of playing smart. They're like, okay, we're ahead a little bit, but this could turn around on a dime. I mean, they're probably ahead, but they're ahead by more than a little bit. They're probably ahead by about 4K. Actually, no, more than I thought, about 8K. So, the fact that they're as ahead as they are is good, but it actually could turn around with some big teamfight combinations of magic damage. Especially, like, Illuminate, Sonic Wave, something from Shadow Shaman, and Epicenter would blow up almost their entire team. So Dystopia, sort of in response to this, they're building out those BKBs as early as they possibly can. And what that'll give them is 2 heroes in the form of the Bounty Hunter and the Luna that provide a ton of damage and that are going to live through that entire teamfight combination. At that point, Gronk are relying solely on this Lifestealer, is about to get picked off again. Another great gank attempt, he just melts. Again, if you're Lifestealer and you get initiated on prior to your ability to actually rage, you will not live against this team. They have enough stuns that they can just keep you permanently disabled up to the point where you're too low for the rage to actually make a difference. So Dystopia really taking advantage of their team composition here, really managing to pressure Gronk extremely heavily. And once these BKBs get finished, which is actually very, very close, they are getting the track gold as a bonus. Every kill that Bounty Hunter has been involved in, which is only 4 so far, but he has managed to keep those tracks coming up. Rubik was actually holding on to the Sonic Wave there. He manages to cast it. He's definitely going to have to steal something new now, though. There's no point in keeping it up. They actually get the deny as well. Excellent work by Dystopia. They're getting the deny. Gronk definitely committed a lot of resources to actually getting that tower kill. So the fact that they only get the deny and they get about half the gold that they normally would is also substantial, because you know you're really playing catch up at this point. You really need to make sure that your heroes are able to get that catch up, get that level 3 ultimate on the Queen of Pain, try to get it out maybe before the opponent's BKB, and definitely get this Lifestealer a little bit farther up. The fact that he's 1 in 3 and he only has 67 last hits, he's almost halfway. Luna has about 40% more last hits than the Lifestealer, and additionally, her net worth is substantially higher. So we've got 3 heroes on the Radiant who have higher net worth than the sort of primary farmer, the Lifestealer on the Dire. So, tough situation for Gronk, but definitely I think they want to get a big team fight before all these BKBs come online. Once these BKBs are fully done, and actually Bounty Hunters might be wending its way to him right now, and Luna's actually might be getting there too. So, if your window of opportunity, if you're Gronk, is very narrow at this point, you really have to make sure that you somehow stun those heroes out and deal a ton of magic damage to them prior to their ability to just BKB through it and just crush you. So the next fight could be extremely bloody, just in the sense that if everything goes right for Gronk, they'll actually be able to get that sort of combo that they've been looking for. But if everything goes wrong, if Dystopia are able to land their BKBs, get that Luna in there, deal a lot of damage, and actually the fight is going out. We've got a stun on that Rubik, and quite a bit of damage coming out from the Queen of Pain, but the Luna was in a disruption, illusions are coming out, Eclipse was hitting on Gronk, but actually, they're taking a ton of damage. They're not actually going to be able to get the advantage. Gronk are on the retreat now. The Bounty Hunter is in there with his BKB, dealing a ton of damage. Will Queen of Pain be able to escape? She actually blinks out. Keeper of the Light, Queen of Pain, and Lifestealer running from this engagement. Rubik actually buys back. Keeper of the Light actually turns around to shoot out an Illuminate, and I'm not sure that was the best idea because his ultimate isn't up. Queen of Pain blinks right in there, doing quite a bit of damage to Bounty Hunter, but it was unwise. Bounty Hunter turns it right around, throws out a Shuriken, and takes down the Queen of Pain. ill-decided. I don't know. I think she thought that she'd do a little bit better there, but unfortunately, the bounty hunter just turning it right around, throwing out that huge shuriken toss. Again, it's rank 4. He only has 2 ranks of a Shadow Walk, but 4 ranks of the shuriken toss, and that's a lot of damage throwing out. And they get another pick off as well on the Keeper of the Light. So actually, started out as a great engagement for Gronk. They managed to pick off 2 or 3 heroes. They forced out a buyback, but they weren't able to get that Luna. And more importantly, on the retreat, they just didn't retreat quite as fast as they could have, and they lost 2 heroes in the process. I think if the Queen of Pain and the Keeper of the Light had just run like the Dickens, they would have made it out with essentially a favorable trade for them in that fight. But instead, they lose 3 heroes, and I think all they did get a few heroes, and they did get a buyback out, but they didn't get what they needed. They didn't get the Luna. Lifestealer survives, so that's a plus side, but this Luna is going to become more and more dangerous. Did she actually use her BKB in that engagement? No. So she's got the 10 seconds rank of the BKB, she's got the Helm of the Dominator for that lifesteal, and this is going to be an increasingly difficult situation to deal with this Luna. Meanwhile, Bounty Hunter, you sort of saw him, even with the fact that he just went BKB, the fact that he's high enough level to deal a ton of damage is very substantial. He's able to pick off that Queen of Pain pretty quickly if he actually concentrates damage on her, and he's able to just melt those supports. And additionally, you know, more track gold. I'm pretty sure at least one of his kills there was actually with track, so even more gold for Dystopia, even more of an advantage. That's actually what I didn't account for earlier, was the track gold. That gives them more of an advantage than they had earlier. Great defensive disruption actually saves this Shadow Demon, and now there's a purge out on the Lifestealer, and just enough damage with the Soul Catcher that they're actually able to pick off the carry. They don't even mind if they lose the Rubik here, I think. Actually, Bounty Hunter running in. There's actually a Ward Trap going up on him. Amazing Ward Trap from the Shadow Shaman, but he doesn't focus. You need to focus the Bounty Hunter. Oh, no! So the Bounty Hunter actually not focused by the Ward Trap. Do they do magic damage? No, he should have focused the Bounty Hunter, no question about it. So unfortunately, even with the Great Ward Trap, they aren't able to quite get it. The Sand King Epicenter ends up mostly whiffing. Rubik's still pretty low, but I don't know what else they can do. They get a buyback from the Queen of Pain, and Dystopia's heroes are so low, but Gronk's just unable to capitalize on it, and this Shadow Shaman actually needs to get out of here. Will that last hit be enough to kill it? Yes. Leshrac gets another pickup. Quite a bit of damage coming out from the Shadow Shaman wards, even now. Queen of Pain manages to pick up the Rubik on the retreat. Leshrac also gets picked off by the Sand King. So very poised play from some players. The Shadow Shaman able to put down these wards very effectively. The one thing maybe he didn't do was focus the Shadow Shaman wards to kill the Bounty Hunter. That would have been a huge kill. He's 5-0-3. Big gold bounty for killing him. Takes him out of the fight. Sets him back from his next item a little bit. We're going to expect most likely this Bounty Hunter to go something like a Desolator would be my guess, to buff the damage on of both himself and the Luna on a particular target. But he has other options. I just suspect he'll go Desolator. But good play from both teams. Very bloody engagement. Lots of deaths on both sides. I think it was four kills for Dystopia and maybe 3 or 4 kills for Gronk as well. The Queen of Pain was forced to buy back, so her buyback is now on cooldown. She's got a Lifestealer. Wait, I thought she had Life. Oh, that was Soul Catcher. Sorry. Sometimes I get the Soul Catcher glyph and the Lifestealer glyph mixed up. Basically, when Lifestealer is using his Infest to sit inside a teammate, there will be a glyph above their head. But also, when Shadow Demon uses the Soul Catcher damage boost on a player, they will also have the glyph above their head. So that's what I got confused by there. But at any rate, I think Dystopia is still looking to take team fights. So they do have these BKBs. Did they actually... They still didn't use the BKB. Luna basically free farmed throughout that whole thing. She picked up about 30 last hits. So that was really a 4 versus 5 in some respects. And they still were able to trade, I wouldn't say favorably, but about even. And this Rubik, meanwhile, is becoming quite dangerous as well. He's got his Phase Boots and Force Staff. This is sort of the max mobility build for Rubik. We'll see if he actually builds up a Blink Dagger as well to get even more mobility. You just see them sort of counter-warding, constricting the vision of Gronk here, especially if they're planning to Roshan and pick up an Aegis of the Immortal on this Luna, or maybe even on the Bounty Hunter. It's smart to deny the vision of your opponents in here. And actually, that's exactly what they're doing. Now that they counter-warded, actually Queen of Pain, now she definitely has Lifestealer in her, and he pops out, but this isn't quite enough. I think both of these heroes are actually just going to get picked off. They weren't quite ready for a full engagement there, and consequently, the Lifestealer bomb completely doesn't succeed there. Essentially, what that means is that's a free Rosh for Dystopia. It's impossible for Gronk to respond to that Rashad attempt without their Lifestealer and without their Queen of Pain. And you can see Lifestealer has no buyback. He's moving towards his Basher as quickly as he can to try to stun down one of the heroes, probably his target of Luna. And Queen of Pain, she does actually have buyback money, but she doesn't have buyback for another 2.5 minutes. So Dystopia, they were sort of looking to muscle out Gronk from their Rosh. I don't think they were even expecting to get 2 kills off of it. But the fact that they did means that they get the free Rosh and the 2 kills for free on the 2 primary farmers of the opposing team. And that's a difficult situation to deal with if you're Gronk. Now that we have the Aegis of the Immortal on Luna, she's quite a bit of the way with those 2... Did she actually get the kill credits? She got one of those kill credits and the Rosh kill and the Aegis. quite a bit of money going her way, finishes out her Eagle Song about 1,400 away from her Butterfly. The Butterfly is going to make it extremely difficult to deal with this Luna, because remember, she still has 10 seconds of magic immunity. She hasn't. This is really great, actually. This poise of not using the Black King bar until you absolutely positively need it means that you have those 10 seconds whenever you need them. And that's very good, because it means that this Luna is going to be 10 seconds magic immune, passive dodge of those Lifestealer attacks and Queen of Pain auto attacks, and they can just push down at their leisure. They're actually not waiting for the Luna to even get that item. They're just going to take down the tier 2 mid essentially for free here. Bounty Hunter actually pops a very early BKB, so it's sort of the option in the annals of the sort of Goofus and Gallant of Dota. What you don't want to do is pop your Black King bar when all you're facing is a Queen of Pain that can't actually kill you because she's lower level than you, and then you don't have it for the ensuing team fight. And then the gallant approach is that, you know, you save your Black King bar for absolutely 5-on-5 engagements when you exactly need it. Gronk at this point just working to keep Dystopia off of their tier 3, but this Luna actually, they could take down the Aegis extremely quickly. Unfortunately, they lose the Sand King in the process. That's Aegis is going to come up in just a second. They do take down the Shadow Demon, but he has some time. This Eclipse is going to just kill the Keeper of the Light. Actually, Luna manages to catch up with the Shadow Shaman. Now her BKB is popped. 2 kills for her right there. They're still chasing most of Dystopia, so the Bounty Hunter goes down as well. And this is a very, very scrappy team fight, but again, it's the 2 Queen of Pain and Lifestealer against 3. Will this be enough to kill the Luna? They pick off the Luna, so Lifestealer manages to pick up a kill. He manages to put great armlet toggle there. Armlet toggles again, managing to live up against this. This is dangerous. When Leshrack's got his Demonic Edict up, you really... Oh no! Unfortunately, Queen of Pain stays in as well. So again, 2 kills for that Leshrack to mop up that team fight. They almost, if they had just left the Leshrack alone, they would have come away with both of their farmers alive and both of Dystopia's farmers down. But unfortunately, armlet toggling does not work against a Leshrack with Demonic Edict up. You would have to have beyond superhuman reaction time to be able to turn off an armlet and turn it back on in time between ticks of the Diabolic Edict. I don't even know. I think this is just like 0.1 seconds between tick rotations. Like, it's just really, really, really difficult to actually get that armlet toggle. Now, the Lifestealer's armlet toggles before that were very, very good. He managed to pick off Luna and Shadow Demon solely through the province of whenever he would get low, he would toggle that armlet off, toggle it on, make sure you have that health, and just live through that and get your health back up to about 700 where they can't just burst you down. The flip side is, you can do that against Shadow Demon, you can do that against Luna, you cannot do that against Leshrack, and so Leshrack manages to pick up the kill on him. Queen of Pain stayed in a little longer than I think she was fully wanted, and unfortunately they get the pick off on that as well. So almost a very, very consequential fight for Gronk, and to be fair, they kept tier 3 completely, and they picked off both primary farmers of Dystopia. And it's just a shame that they also lost their 2 primary farmers. It really, when you get a fight like that, you really hope that that pushes your Lifestealer just substantially closer to where that Luna is in the net worth. And you can see that the net worth of the Luna, 12.6k, it's now about 5k higher than the Lifestealer, where I think before that fight it was probably about the same, but about 5-10 minutes ago, it was still only about 2 or 3k higher. So you really want this Lifestealer to be catching up, and you can't do that if he's constantly dying. And the same thing with the Queen of Pain. You really want to build up that. She's definitely going for sheepsteak, by the way. That's what this is. When you have 2,300 saved up, essentially what you're looking for is either you're saving buyback gold, which is also definitely true, or what you're really doing is you want that. You want something that costs Mystic Staff. So your options for Mystic Staff are basically Shiva's Guard or Scythe of Vice. In this case, Queen of Pain definitely going for the Scythe of Vice. The reason I say this is because it's going to be a very, very strong option against this Luna, against this Bounty Hunter. Even though they do have their Black King bars, I think she still really wants to be able to crowd control one of them after that BKB ends. Like in that last fight was long. Luna's BKB wore off, and the fight still persisted for about 15 seconds after that. So unfortunately, that basically the Queen of Pain is going to be looking to pick up that Scythe of Vice as soon as possible to really shut down most of the Luna, because again, this Luna is just getting so big. Butterfly done for her, actually. Let's take a look. It's about 15k gold advantage. So again, Dystopia with that fight, I think if you had seen Gronk convincingly take that fight and have some free time to farm, they would most likely be able to catch up some of the gold differential. But because they did actually all die, both teams sort of died, and it was sort of like a reset button on the fight, Dystopia manages to sort of stay flat for that period of time, and now get even further ahead with the addition of further towers to their count. So about 15,000 advantage, both in gold and in experience for Dystopia, and that's going to be very, very difficult to deal with. You really have to defend another scrappy tier 3 engagement, and we'll see if they're able to do so, because Dystopia is definitely going to go for the kill at this stage. They're going to try to just take down this tower, and a ton of damage going out. Again, Leshrack, just such a strong pusher. one of the absolute strongest pushers in the game just in terms of single target damage done to a tower. And Gronk are looking to turn this around, but the Sand King Epicenter are mostly whiffs, and this is going to be a critical problem for them. Lifesteal are already taking a ton of damage, and the Luna BKB comes out. The Queen of Pain ultimate does not hit that many players. They lose the Sand King, they lose the Lifestealer. Does Lifestealer have buyback? No. I think this is going to be the tower as soon as they clear out these Shadow Shaman wards. The Bounty Hunter is slowed down. He's not going to be able to pick up this Keeper of the Light. Shadow Shaman goes down as well. Queen of the Pain doing what she can, but she has no ultimate, she has no mana, and she's not able to defend against this tier 3 push. So they're going to pick up this set of Raxes at the very least. Will they be looking to pick up more? I think they will. They still have 35 seconds without the Lifestealer. The Sand King will not have his ultimate for another 80. Sand King not even close to his BKB, so that's what he's building. And unfortunately, I think that engagement just wasn't as strong as Gronk needed. The problem if you're Gronk right now was sort of we needed to have an ideal team fight. Like we needed to make sure that every single thing landed and we were able to keep damage off of our carry off of Lifestealer. And they didn't get that. They didn't get the shadow. God damn it, the shadow. So many shadows in this game that I'm mixing it up. They didn't get the Sand King ultimate off, really. They weren't able to get a ton of damage from the Shadow Shaman wards until too late. The Luna managed to use her BKB very wisely, and they just weren't able to get anything done. Consequently, they lose 3 Raxes. They still have the ranged Rax here, but they lose 2 sets of melee Rax, which are the consequential ones. Bounty Hunter once again picking up free kills, taking out the Shadow Shaman. You can see his health is just so low at this point. 796 health is so very little. And Dystopia are going to turn this right around. They pop up the Shadow Shaman Bounty Hunter BKB, the Leshrac BKB, they kill the Sand King, they probably will kill this Lifestealer as well. Are they out of card control? No, the Rubik Telekinesis goes out. Just enough damage to pick off that Lifestealer. Bounty Hunter actually getting quite low, but now this Queen of Pain is in trouble. 3 seconds on her blink. Will she blink in time? Actually, the Luna Stun goes out. She does blink, they're still chasing. Rubik steals the blink, jumps over, kills the Queen of Pain, and I think that's game that'll be the rest of the Raxes. Gronk unable to defend, just a little bit overwhelmed by the fact when you have 4 heroes with higher levels than any of your heroes, or at least parity, it's just extremely difficult. And if you're a team that's mostly focused around this magic damage teamfight composition, having 3 BKBs on the opposing team is just almost impossible to deal with. What they really needed was both to make sure that they were able to get a lot of kills on Dystopia before the BKBs came online, and develop this Lifestealer a little more. They really needed more from this Lifestealer, and it was just, when he was dying early on in engagements, that's most of your physical damage right gone there. Like, Sand King doesn't deal any physical damage. Shadow Shaman doesn't deal any physical damage. Keeper of the Light obviously doesn't. Queen of Pain deals a little bit, but really mostly you're focused around magic again. And consequently, Dystopia are able to sort of take this win pretty easily, about 33 minutes. Well played from both teams, I think. It was an interesting lane configuration from Gronk. I think they correctly identified what their goals were, which were sort of to ensure that the side lane, hard lane didn't go that poorly. Unfortunately, they still really weren't able to curry an advantage in the hard lane. Dystopia managed to get that advantage. These Rubik wards are now camping the Fountain of Gronk, so that's unfortunate. Pretty strong, these wards. They're actually immune to magic, too, so I'm not sure what the hope was there, unfortunately. And these wards are just... These wards are forming an impenetrable wall that Gronk is not quite able to get past. So Dystopia will move on. They'll move on to the winner's bracket round 4? Round 4, I think. And Gronk will still be in, so even though this is a best-of-1 match, it is the double elimination tournament. So it's going to be they will go into the losers bracket round 2, but we could still see them again very, very easily. And so a good game from both teams, very strong play from Dystopia, good lineup, very, very scary tri lane that they did succeed with. They had good roaming from the Shadow Demon on the track, and just managed to get the Luna and the Bounty Hunter to a point where they'd be very difficult to deal with. So thanks for watching. We're going to take a quick break. Our next game will be in an hour, I think. It's 2 p.m. Eastern now, so next game will be in an hour. So thanks for watching, and we'll be right back.